Cedar Leaf Capital is said to be, anyway, Canada's first majority Indigenous-owned investment dealer. Cedar Leaf received regulatory approval to start operations in October of last year. We were joined by Clint Davis, CEO of Cedar Leaf Capital. We began by asking him, what businesses are you in so far?
So we're focused on debt capital markets. We've been operating, getting close to a year now. It's been great. It's taken us a bit of time to kind of get to where we were because we're a bit of a blank slate. So we had to build that business development. We had to do onboarding with clients, the KYC and so on. But I'm really happy and impressed with how the market has responded, and it's been great so far.
And ownership-wise, you're owned by 3 Indigenous communities?
Yeah, so we have 2 development corporations, which are essentially owned 100% by the respective communities. So Enchkai, which is owned by Squamish, Desnede Group, owned by English River out of Saskatchewan, and then Rama First Nation is the only First Nation that owns 70% of the company.
So that's in Ontario?
That's in Ontario, yeah.
Owns 70%?
Owns 70%, okay. With the remainder owned by Scotiabank.
Right. And Scotiabank, I think the plan is they've helped you get going.
They've been able to stand us up. We have an administrative agreement with them where they provide support around IT, legal, things like that, and our systems and things of that nature. But they've been very public in saying that their ultimate goal was to set up a 100% Indigenous-owned and operated investment dealer in the country. So they plan to divest over a period of time.
And you yourself are an Inuk from Labrador.
I am from Labrador, yes. It's a beautiful place in the world.
It must be exciting, though. We've heard so much lip service paid, really, to Indigenous participation in the economy, but to have an actual investment dealer active in bond deals, Indigenous-owned.
It's pretty incredible. Like we're seeing a lot of activity, and you've covered some of it in terms of, the Mi'kmaq purchasing Clearwater Foods, which is a major, seafood company. I had the opportunity of being a part of Nassautuk, which actually operates in partnership with ATCO. It's all the Inuit development corporations in the country partnering with ATCO to run the North Warning System in Canada, so the first line defense for Canada. And now looking at this spectrum of financial services, and we're that additional sort of piece, it is really exciting to see how far we've come.
Tell us about one or two of the big bond deals that you've participated in.
So we've had 2 really interesting bond deals. Actually, there's a multiple number of bond deals. We were, invited into CPPIB, one of the largest pension funds in the world. The government of Alberta was the first government to bring us in as well, too, which is really exciting. But there was 1 week where here we are as a majority investment dealer, and we were invited into 2 Indigenous bond issuances. So the first one was the First Nations Finance Authority. So they're the only Indigenous entity that issues bonds on a regular basis. So I believe they've issued up to 3 billion bonds over the last number of years. And then there was Stone Lessick 8, which was the 38 First Nations from BC. They bought 12.5% in West Coast Energy LNG pipeline, which is owned by Enbridge. And they had, what was really exciting about that, they took that bond, split it into 2, had a guaranteed portion. So that was the first federal loan guarantee on $400 million, and the remainder was non-guaranteed. We were part of the syndicate for the non-guarantee. And the market response and reaction to that was extremely positive.
At this stage, you're not doing equity underwriting, or you're not doing individual investment advisors on a retail basis.
That's right.
Yeah, because you have to learn to walk before you can run, and the company is so new.
Yeah, I would say we're probably briskly walking right now.
Yes.
We've certainly things, as I said. Look, there's still a lot of work for us to do, and the most exciting thing for me is to see that we've earned the trust of these issuers. So nobody's handing us anything, and we have to be able to demonstrate value. And we haven't fully exhausted the debt capital markets here in Canada. That's our goal, to do that over the next couple of years. So I think the future looks really bright.
Your workforce still pretty small. As far as I know, a year ago it was less than a dozen.
Yeah. So we're at about 8 right now. We'll likely grow over the next year or 2. But what's fantastic is we have a bond trading desk. It's a 3-person bond trading desk, all Indigenous. all Indigenous. So a gentleman, Dean Begley, who has been in the market for 30 years, and we had 2 young Indigenous, a man and a woman, who came on board. Dean has trained them, developed them, and they're ready to go.
I'm just curious about this, have you had any contact with Indigenous entrepreneurs in the United States or in other countries? Down the road, that could be a fruitful thing, you think?
Yeah, not yet. It could very well be, because some of these communities, certainly in the U.S., you see it in New Zealand as well, they have capital, right? And more communities are becoming more active in terms of how they invest that capital. Ultimately, they could be an institutional investor if they want to participate in some of our deals.
And of course, we've got, you mentioned one deal, that pipeline, but we've got aggressive Indigenous participation now in LNG.
Yeah, and so obviously you see the Haisla, who are leaders in the space for Cedar LNG. When we were part of the First Nations Finance Authority, I believe that was also a part of some of that capital going to that particular project. Look, times are really changing, and you see with the announcement of major projects by the Prime Minister's office, most of those projects will have some level of Indigenous participation, so I think it's very exciting.
Clint Davis, CEO of Cedar Leaf Capital, which is said to be the first Indigenous-owned investment dealer. And of course, today is the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, honouring survivors of residential schools and, of course, the children who never came